Good evening, everybody. And there I am down in the little corner. I did get a new microphone, so hopefully you can hear me. I tested it a few times. And one of the things about microphones I have found over the past few years is they don't last a very long time. And I usually am notified because one of you sends me an email that you didn't hear my video. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. And here we are on the 25th. And we're about to start week 5. Now, I'd like to open with a couple of things. First of all, I realize that there are continued issues with ExamSoft and Examity. I want you to know that I have escalated that. I have been in contact with Dr. Bruley, and I will go further um, tomorrow because I'm very concerned about your continued inability to take this exam. So I want you to be aware that I'm looking at that. I'm also reviewing content of the exams, but unfortunately I cannot do that until the exams are all done, and we have about 5 students who were unable to take the exam this weekend. So unfortunately I'm not going to be able to look at the exams as a whole until that's complete. And then I will update you with analysis of the questions. I'm going to be reviewing any question that 50% or more of the class uh, answered incorrectly. And I will get back to you on that as soon as I have information because I know what a concern that is for you all. Um, Now let's look at the course content as we begin this week. And we have this, we're going to go over the digestive system. I'm fascinated by this system, so I will also be making videos. I appreciate your patience because, as I said, this is the first time I'm teaching this material. So I'm trying to play catch up by making as many videos as I possibly can. Um, but they take a lot of time to make, so I have to prepare scripting, so I will get that out to you as soon as I possibly can. Now, I've had some concerns about the community disease portfolio. Rightfully so. I would be concerned about it also. Now, this week you have draft 1 and draft 2. Now, what does that mean? Now, I know that the last class in Patho 1, um, we had such a rocky beginning. I took that as an opportunity to review your papers so that you could have a good understanding of the expectations. I reviewed your papers and allowed you to make corrections. This time, we won't be doing that. The purpose of the drafts is to submit them through Turnitin and to look at your reports and make any adjustments on those reports. I think sometimes students get um, the wrong idea when it comes to Turnitin. So typically, we don't want our papers to be more than 25% um, that score that you get with Turnitin. But that can be kind of deceiving. When I look at your reports, I look to see if there are sentences. As graduate students, you need to learn how to paraphrase. So, in writing a paper at this level, there are a few big no nos. Number one big no no, do not use quotes. Paraphrase and cite everything. So, sometimes I see students will have their paper is essentially a series of quotes from research, and that's not how we write papers at this level. So you have to take that information, you need to turn it into your own words, and then cite it because it isn't your own words, you're paraphrasing. So that's a big thing. Another big thing that people miss when they're writing papers is that you need your first paragraph of a paper is the introduction. And the introduction gives you, as a reader, um, a thumbnail sketch of what your paper's purpose is. So I'm going to show you an example of how a paper should be written. And we're also going to look at the rubric for this community disease portfolio, the second half. So let's look at this draft here. And you know what? I don't care when you turn it in as long as you do it this week. What I care about is when the final paper is turned in. So, for the purposes of this draft, you can turn it in because I'm not going to be grading your draft. This is for you. Okay? Now let's look down here. You need to find a minimum of 3 current and relevant research studies that examine the pathophysiologic basis for your health issue from community disease portfolio first half. So the topic that you chose in Patho 1, this paper is a continuation of it. Now, I had one student ask me if this was going to be a continuation paper through your entire coursework. And no, it isn't. But on the other hand, if you have chosen a women's health topic, why not use it when you're in women's health? Or if you've chosen a disease process that is a pediatric issue, why not use it when you're in pediatrics? Because you are going to have one scholarly paper due in each course that you write. So I don't think there's a problem with that. Now, mind you, you cannot turn in that paper again. You need to rewrite it. Because if you turn that paper in again, your turn it in score is going to be 100%, and that will not be accepted. So you are going to have to rewrite your paper, but it's much easier to rewrite it if you already have your research and all of the components ready. Okay? So now let's look to see here the rubric. Now, when you're writing a scholarly paper, you are going to begin your paper, and I'll show you on an example paper. I don't have an example paper for this course because this is the first time I'm teaching this course. But the first paragraph that you write is an introduction. You do not write the word introduction. You have the title of your paper not in bold. So when you have your title page, there are certain components of your title page, and the title that you choose will be on that second page of your paper. It will be centered, not in bold. That's how you begin your paper. And then that first paragraph is your introduction. Even though you do not write the word introduction there, it's just known that when you're writing a scholarly paper, that first paragraph is your introduction. Your introduction will include an overview of your paper and the purpose and plan for your paper. So as I said before, it gives the reader an understanding of what the content of your paper is going to be. Find 3 current and relevant research studies which examine the pathophysiologic basis for your health issue from Part 1 and 2. Examine each of the 3 research studies detailing the purpose, methodology, and major finding. So, this is going to be a heading. You're going to have relevant research studies or another series of words that describes your paragraph. That will be your heading. Your heading is centered and bold. Then you will have a subheading, which will show the 3 research studies, and you will discuss those in detail. Appraise the efforts made to complete these 3 studies in an ethically responsible manner. Compare and contrast the major finding of these 3 studies. Integrate these findings to explain how they might affect the chosen health issues. Find 3 current and relevant clinical practice guidelines that address your chosen health issue. Compare and contrast. Critique the evidence. Integrate the clinical practice guidelines, and then a summary. And I don't like the word summary because in research we use conclusion. Now, each one of these areas that you're going to see here will be a heading. This is how you separate your paper. And in each heading, you're going to have at least 1 paragraph. When you're writing paragraphs, don't make your paragraphs too long. It's okay to break them up. The minimum requirement of a paragraph is 2 sentences. So when you're writing a paragraph, if your topic changes, now you need to change your paragraph. So let me see if I can find a paper that will illustrate to you how to set these things up. And it may not be a perfect paper, but perhaps it will give you a good basis to see. In fact, I may even use a paper of mine so that you can have that as a resource. Let me see what I've got here. I have so much loaded on this computer, it is just running terribly. Okay, that's a proposal. I don't like that one. Let me see what I can find. Well, you know what? I think I'm going to find the perfect paper to use as an example, and well, it might not be the most perfect paper, but I'll try.